I chose to do this program to expand my network, increase my professional development, and of course, come to Singapore.
Takeaway over the past 2 weeks is learning from all the mentors and probably learning more about myself and what I actually want to do in my future career. It helped me focus on what the problem I was actually trying to solve was, and then I could shape my own ideas and my approach to better suit the problem I was trying to solve instead of just coming in with a preset idea.
It's been so much fun. The people I've met, the things I've gotten to do and experience, the connections I've made both professionally and personally are second to none. Met some amazing people, some amazing accomplishments, and just met friends for life from across the country and across the world.
Able to make so many connections in Singapore that also link to Australia, and even if it's through casual chats or networking nights, I felt that I got so much advice and so much consulting out of everyone I met.
The HEX program has allowed me to develop new skills and meet amazing people.
I can 100% see myself using my degree and using my experience here in Singapore with HEX to do exactly that, to start something from the ground up.
I think HEX runs a really solid program. They have fantastic connections, and all their workshops, you just get so much out of it. HEX do a great job at leading and guiding you to become the best founder you can be.
Welcome. I'm super excited to kick off our HEX International information session. But before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the lands that we are currently on right now. So the HEX team is based all across Australia and India, and we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work, meet, teach, and play. I'm currently on Wurundjeri land, and we pay our respects to the elders, the Indigenous people of these lands, and the Indigenous community leaders, past and present. So, hey X-Fam, Charlie here. I am Charlie Ferrellini, your marketing and experience lead here at HEX, and also your program lead for this awesome session we're about to go into. So a bit about me. I have ran over 8 awesome programs with HEX, both here in Australia, overseas in the Pacific, in Fiji, as well as running our flagship HEX International Singapore program. But what we're here to do today is really to kind of give you the 411 on what HEX International is like and if it's right for you. So, what is going to be happening today? What is HEX International? Over the next 2 weeks, we are actually going to talk through the actual program. So today's agenda, we're going to break down what is HEX International, what actually is a part of the program, who you'll meet on the program, so some of the speakers we tend to bring on the program, the actual HEX journey, both in the program and after the program, the application process. I know a lot of people have asked a question about the application process. And then we're also going to drop down all our upcoming programs and some frequently asked questions. So you have all the information you need to fill in an application. Now, what is HEX International, you may ask? HEX International is a 2-week innovative experience across the Horizon line. So you will join an impressive cohort of students and early stage founders to learn from business, social impact, and innovation leaders, and work hands-on in a global startup hub like Singapore, like Vietnam, and also in our spiritual home of Australia. So let's get a little teaser of what HEX International is really like.
Just need time. Snapping 1, 2, where are you? It's you and my
Love that. Awesome. So hopefully you got a bit of flavor of what HEX International is like. It's an awesome 2-week experience. I can vouch that I've been in so many and love doing these programs. So we have 3 awesome programs on offer this year. So we've got our HEX International program in Singapore that you just saw. We've got our HEX International program in Melbourne, as well as our HEX International program in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these programs and kind of see which one is the right fit for you. So why Singapore? With amazing innovation policies and a flexible working culture and the ease of access to the Southeast Asian market, Singapore kind of has overtaken Silicon Valley as the world's #1 place for startup talent. And I wonder why. Singapore, I can say from my experience, is one of the best places to really immerse yourself in the tech and innovation ecosystems in the startup scene. But also, the food in Singapore is absolutely phenomenal. We do have programs coming up for our media programs. So we have two running concurrently in June and July. And then also, we are taking applications for programs in the new year as well. Now, why Melbourne? So, why our Melbourne program? Melbourne is our lovely spiritual home. We are dialing here from Melbourne, and it is an incredible place to actually really launch your idea or startup. It's a thriving and emerging market when it comes to tech and innovation, but it's a really cool place. You get to meet the likes of Seek, places like Linktree, Tixel have started their businesses in Melbourne, Zella, Airwallex. It's become one of the, I would say, one of the new flagship areas to really kickstart a startup idea. So we have one program running in June this year, and as well as opening programs later this year for our sprint program. Now, why Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam? Um, Something awesome about this program is that this is going to be our first ever program that we run in lovely Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh City has been known to kind of be the new hub for digital nomads, but it's a really good way to kind of grow middle income economies of Asia. Southeast Asia is becoming a global phenomenon when it comes to dealing with businesses, launching startups, testing new markets. And did I mention that the food from Vietnam is insane? So we have a program running in June 22nd to the July 6th. And then we are also running an end of year program. So if you're interested, feel free to fill that application button and also be a part of the next movement of being our first ever cohort in Vietnam. Now, what's next? I'm going to give you kind of the program breakdown. So, what to expect over the 2 weeks, what we tend to put together, what our agenda is for the program. So, over the 2 weeks in either Singapore and Ho Chi Minh City, in Melbourne, we throw you headfirst into workshops starting from ideation to market research to UX UI prototyping, all the way to the final pitch in front of investors, CEOs, and government officials. So, in our past programs, we have taken our awesome founders to awesome tech and innovative organizations. We have delivered workshops, so you get to really sink your teeth in what it takes to launch a startup. So, it's all Startup 101. We run you through some culture and food tours. We also host a little amazing race to get you immersed in the culture in which respective city that you choose to do your program in. And then we also provide mentoring and personal branding so you can take either your career, your startup, your idea to the next level. We give you the opportunity to network, and we kind of teach you a thing or two about like understanding your social capital and your social brand and your power. And then finally, as I said earlier, we end it with a final pitch. This is something that we make in the program. It might look very standard or something similar to university, but we make it incredibly fun, make it incredibly different, and make sure it's all industry aligned. So think of it as like your CEO internship overseas. Now, with our programs, no two programs are the same. We make sure that all our programs are unique to your cohort. So if you have an interest in fintech or space tech, we make sure that we co-design that program with your interests in mind. And this is something that we like to bring out in the application process, something that you put forward when you are joining the cohort on the program, and letting us know well in advance so you can get the most out of your experience. Now, the age-old question, who will you meet on the program? Something that's so incredible about these programs that we bring in speakers from all around the world. You kind of bypass, and I call it like us opening the gate, not gatekeeping our speakers. But you get to meet industry leaders all around the world. You get to meet founders, CEOs, investors, but people who represent like big organizations like Google, like Microsoft, like Grab, like Netflix. And the reason why we do this is that we want to make sure that you are empowered to kind of take on your next move. We bring in speakers who understand what the demands are of the market, what you need to kind of take your idea to the next level, and really get their perspective on what you can do to change the world, essentially. Now, Here's a little story about our awesome past HEX alumni. We boast over 4,000 awesome Hexies all around the world. But these are some cool, awesome stories that we've had from past Hexies who've embarked on different HEX programs and where they've been able to take their careers. So meet Sho. Sho entered our Melbourne program back in 2019, and he came in with an idea and a dream. He wanted to launch his satellite imagery data company into space. Fast forward to now, he has now been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30. He's receiving funding all around the world and is now currently working on his idea in the Middle Eastern market, all around the States, all around Australia, making waves, creating new impact. Now, meet Sarah Tan. Sarah Tan embarked on one of our original programs back in Silicon Valley. She came in with the idea of, I want to be a graphic designer, but let me see what I can do overseas. She took that 2-week innovation experience and really jump-started her career. Instead of focusing on that graphic design path that she always thought she was going to, she added tech to her arsenal. She added innovation to her toolkit, and she was able to become an AR and VR designer. But not just that, she's been able to work at places like Google, like MasterCard, Atlassian, REA Group. But she's also been nominated as the top 100 women of the future, creating innovative technologies, pioneering her own brand, but also really creating a platform for herself. Now, finally, I want you to meet Nicholas Maynard. He did our Singapore program back in 2019. And he was a cultural fashion innovator. He came from Queensland. He had this idea of launching a business and launching a startup. But he had a passion for fashion and streetwear. But he came in the program not understanding how he can turn that into a business. He used those 2 weeks to launch his actual fashion brand called It's a Must, which has become a cultural phenomenon all around Queensland, being able to kind of give back to his own community. Now, these are just some of the stories that come out of our programs, but you are not going to be alone. In our past programs, we have seen our founders, our alumni, people who take on those 2 weeks to do incredible things within the next 3 to 6 months of the program. We've seen people get new jobs, launch businesses. We've got people who've been featured in Vogue and The Entrepreneur and The Editor. But also, we've seen people take their ideas to the next level. I know this is insane. I love seeing this is my favorite part of my job, seeing all the awesome Hexies run wild around the world. Now, what's next? I want to introduce you to an awesome person in our alumni. Her name is Angela. She's just recently completed the Singapore program, and she's gonna share a couple of words on her experience in the HEX International
Hi
program.
everyone, I'm Angela. I'm a HEX 3.8 alumni, and I'm very thankful to the HEX experience. I think it has definitely impacted my life. Before coming to HEX, I had no idea how you could go from simply having an idea to then launching a startup. But thanks to the amazing 2-week process we had in Singapore, I now perfectly understand how you can go from ideation to market research and validation, prototyping, then having your first users on an MVP, which you can launch and pitch. This process was explained extremely well by HEX, and it's knowledge that I believe I'll have with me for the rest of my life. And aside from all this practical knowledge, I was also able to boost my network. HEX has amazing connections, not only in Singapore, in East Asia, but also in Australia and around the world. So I had a particular interest in the edtech industry, and thanks to the HEX, I was able to meet very important people. Additionally, I was able to meet another HEX alumni who I am now collaborating with on a new project. So I'm very thankful to HEX because otherwise I would have never been able to meet them. So I'm very thankful to HEX. Not only did it boost my network, I met some amazing people. I've got plenty of practical knowledge on startups, but it also boosted my personal development as we did spend 2 weeks in a new country with new people, with new experiences. So overall, I highly recommend the HEX experience.
Thanks, Angela. But Angela's not alone. We've had awesome things that our alumni have said about the program, from awesome experiences, the friendships that they've made, the community that they built together, but also all the amazing connections that they made all around the world. Now, you've seen what our Hexies have gone on to do, but are you ready to take the charge to become a Hexie? Let me give you a rundown on the application process. So the application process is pretty simple. It's a 3-step process. So step 1, all you need to do is apply to any of our HEX International programs. My advice is to put your best foot forward and be your authentic self. Step 2, if successful, if you make it to the next round, you attend the HEX interview day. Think of it as an assessment center. Think of it as a day for you to kind of showcase yourself in the best light. We do multiple rounds, given that there are multiple programs that are on offer. But that will be the next step of the process. And then finally, you find out whether or not you've made it into the program or not. So we provide you a notice of outcome within 14 days of the interview. Now, what are the best tips for the application process, right? What are your next steps? What do we look for in the application process? I call this our 8-step criteria. So first, we look at your curiosity. Are you someone who loves to continuously learn? Are you a student? Do you always want to be a learner? Is there something you can take away from every experience that you get given? Your empathy levels. Can you empathize with the cohort? Can you empathize with each other? Can you empathize with their journey and your problem? Your passion. Are you the best person to solve your problem? How keen are you? Or how passionate are you to solve this problem? Grit and resilience. How do you overcome challenges and failures? What is your game plan? Communication. How do you present yourself? What is your story? How do you present yourself to the world? Adaptability. How are you in new environments? What is your game plan? Evidence of action. Why you? What's your secret sauce? What is the thing that you bring in that no one else can bring? And finally, your hexiness. I'm going to say the hexiness factor for when you do your interview, but we ask you a very specific question whether or not you are a team bear and team shark and you have to defend your position. Now, that's the application process. Hopefully, you get a bit of clarity. You got your top tips ready. But as always, we encourage you all to be your authentic self. When you come to these programs, you are sharing your journey, your experiences for 2 weeks with each other. And being your authentic self is the best way to start your HEX journey. Now, what are commonly the frequently asked questions that we get on the program? So you're more than welcome to drop any program questions in the chat below. We've got a couple that we prepared earlier. But any grad programs? Thank you so much, Nomakosi. We see a lot of our Hexies actually join onto grad programs after they finish a HEX program. So if your aim is to get into that Deloitte grad program, or you're looking for connections into certain spaces to get into a certain grad program, coming on a HEX program really kind of sets you apart from the rest of the talent pool that's in the market as well. Any other questions? Any other? How do you select participants for the program? That's an awesome question. As I mentioned earlier, we do have that 8-step criteria that we look at, measuring your grit, your personality, your resilience, your communication levels, your ability, your passion. But also, we look at what value you bring to the program. This is a common question we get, whether or not you need to have an idea or you have to be a university student to participate in our programs. We get people from a cross-section of industries join. We have people in their early career phases do our programs. We have people who are currently in their MBA. You don't have to be just in an undergraduate degree to participate in the HEX program. If you have an idea, if you have a dream, if you're willing to test your limits in 2 weeks by creating and launching your startup or your idea or your career, then you're more than welcome to apply and be a part of this program. We tend to select a cohort of around 15 to 20 participants per cohort, just to make sure that everyone gets enough one-on-one time with our speakers and our mentors, that you get the most out of your experience, but also that you kind of create your own community within those 2 weeks. What's another frequently asked question? I don't have a startup idea. Can I still apply? Of course you can apply. We encourage anyone to come on our program. This is Startup 101. So we've had several founders who join our program who don't have an idea yet. They have a problem space, but they don't know where to take their idea. We run you through from ideation all the way to pitch. So if you don't have an idea, but you feel like you can do something more, or you have the passion project in your mind, then we are more than happy to help you with that as well. I see another question. Do you secure full-time work for participants after your programs? As I said earlier, Namakosi, we do have past participants who go on to secure full-time work. When you do one of our programs, we're more than happy to either assist you by providing you a connection or working with you to secure that next role. We do not, and like I want to preface this very early, we do not I guess place you into roles. But let's say you come in the program and you're very interested in consulting. We'll make sure that if we have a speaker from a consulting background, or if we have a mentor that's on their way who has experience at working at a consulting firm, that we make sure that you have enough one-on-one face time as well. If you want a job at, let's say, a Google or Canva, we make sure that if we are ever having a mentor or a speaker that comes from there, we make sure that you have enough time to build that connection, to put your best foot forward, but also give you the best opportunity to actually land your next role. Any other questions? What's the agenda for the program? Awesome question. I think I touched on this earlier. So we tend to go, when it comes from the way we design these programs, is obviously we design with the intention of the founders in mind. So obviously we have kind of core pillars that we go from, like ideation to business model canvas, from marketing. But the way we set the programs, that from 9 to 5 is our program days, and the time outside of that program is completely up to you. We embed this idea of working hard and playing harder, that throughout the days that we have our actual program in mind, you are more than welcome to, we encourage you to participate and be engaged throughout the whole program. But any of your free time is completely up to you. But we make sure to have, I guess, moments of delight, or our own fun elements. So we have networking opportunities, ability to do some mentoring. We do some culture and food tours as well, so you can kind of get immersed in whichever region you're in, whether it be in Ho Chi Minh City, in Singapore, in Melbourne. But it's a very jam-packed 2 weeks. We tend to say that it's the longest and shortest 2 weeks of your life, because it's so packed, but you get what you give into the program. So there is so much to get out of it as well. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Will I get to meet people from different industries, or will I only meet entrepreneurs? You will definitely get to meet people from different industries. One of, I guess, key learnings in our programs is that obviously we bring in founders and other entrepreneurs in the program, so you kind of can learn from their experiences, because entrepreneurs tend to be people who understand that full picture journey, and they're probably embark on a similar journey that you'll be facing on the program. But we do bring people, whether from the tech space or from the government space, or if you have an interest in sustainability, we try our best to bring a speaker who is from a sustainable industry. And this is something that we encourage for you to kind of express in your application, that if your passion lies within cybersecurity, or you want to launch your own space tech, we make sure we bring in the right speakers for you as well. I see another question from Namakosi. Are the programs in person or online? So for our HEX International programs, they are in person. So you will be with a cohort for 2 weeks doing the actual program. We make sure that there is little online elements to the program, just so you can get the most out of your experience as well. I saw a question earlier from one of the frequently asked what the interview process is like. As I mentioned earlier, we do embark on a 3-step application process, where our second step is the interview process. Think of it like a job interview. You are looking at like behavior questions. So I guess explaining who you are in a nutshell, understanding your problem statement, your business idea. But as always, we look at your authentic self, right? If we were with you for the next 2 weeks on that program, what value can you bring to the program? What ideas do you have? What are your dreams and aspirations? As I mentioned earlier, with that 8-step criteria, that's something that we're going to look at throughout the application process and the interview process. And so that's something to keep in mind when you are in the interview processes. But yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions? Are there any payment plans or funding? That's an awesome question. We are fortunate enough to work with several universities all around the world who are keen to support and provide opportunities for founders who are looking to embark on this program. So depending on your university, there are funding opportunities, whether it be under the New Colombo plan or scholarships that are available for the actual program. When you apply for the program, you're more than welcome to contact the HEX team to see if there are funding opportunities available. We do offer payment plans as well, to kind of give, I guess, a financial aid or relieve the burden of the program price as well. But yeah, that's an awesome question. Any final questions before we wrap up? Awesome, awesome. Well, anyways, thank you so much for attending our HEX International Information Session. Expect more of these. But yeah, if you're interested in any of these programs, we do have heaps running throughout the year. We've got one in Singapore, we've got one in Melbourne, one in Ho Chi Minh City. You're more than welcome to apply. Applications are closing very soon. So you can apply through that QR code or via the link below. But we're more than welcome. I'm excited to see your application. And as always, stay hexy.